guys, today we're going to learn what's called trigonometry. Tri means triangle, and nometry means measure. So we're going to learn how to find the measurements of triangles. So today we're going to learn how to find sine, cosine, and tangent. How you're going to be able to do this is given a right triangle, can you find the trig ratios? Why is this important? Helps us find missing angles and heights in right triangles. So today, guys, let's learn how to label the triangle. First, the hypotenuse is across from the 90-degree angle. That's the longest side of the triangle. The reference angle is what we are going to call the starting point, or we're going to end up looking at to refer to. Think of it as your perspective. Then, the opposite is going to be the side across from that reference angle. So shoot an arrow there. And the adjacent is the side next to the reference angle that's not the hypotenuse. So let's label this triangle. The reference angle is in orange. So first, find the hypotenuse. Find the right angle, go across from it, that's your hypotenuse. Find the reference angle, go across from that, that's your opposite. Which means the side next to the angle, the adjacent, is the one you haven't marked. So go ahead, guys, and try to label triangle number 2. So first we're going to find the hypotenuse. Then we're going to find the opposite and then the adjacent. So the hypotenuse is across from the 90. The opposite is across from the angle. And the adjacent is the one next to it. So, from the last 2 days, we've learned that we can find ratios between the 3 sides in this triangle, because they're always the same because of similar triangles. So the first ratio is what we call the sine. Don't say sin, it's a sin to say it. Of the reference angle is equal to the opposite side to the angle over the hypotenuse. We use the acronym so it will help us remember this. So let's find the sine of all these angles. So find the reference angle and label it. Remember that sine is O over H, opposite over hypotenuse. So first, let's label the hypotenuse. Across from the 90. Let's label the opposite across from the reference angle. And the other side is the adjacent side. So the O is the opposite, which is 3, and the hypotenuse is 5. Okay? So we changed the reference angle in problem 4. It's now at the top. We'll do the same thing. Find the hypotenuse opposite the right angle. Find the opposite the reference angle, and the adjacent side. So again, sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So the opposite side is 7, the hypotenuse is 25. All right, find the sine of B for number 5. What? There's no numbers? Well, we'll just use letters. Hypotenuse. Opposite. Adjacent. Now the opposite is now going to be this whole length here that's highlighted in yellow from A to C, so we'll call that AC. Cosine, and then the hypotenuse goes from B to A. Let's highlight that right now, B to A. So we're going to write BA on the bottom. And there's your sine. Remember, don't sin. Cosine is the adjacent divided by the hypotenuse, or K. So it's A over H. So again, let's look at our reference angle C. The adjacent side is the one next to it. That's the 4 right there, so that is 4. The hypotenuse is opposite the 90, which is 5. See, isn't it nice? It's already labeled. So again, let's find adjacent over hypotenuse for number 4. The adjacent is the next 2, which is 24. The hypotenuse is the 25. So again, adjacent over hypotenuse for number 5. The adjacent side next to, the 2 letters on that is BC. And again, the hypotenuse goes from B to A. Last but not least, this is what mathematicians do when we go to the beach. We get tan. In this case, what we call the tangent of the reference angle, or TOA to help us memorize it. So to put us together, we use SO, CA, TOA to help us memorize. And that's adjacent over opposite over adjacent. Sorry. So again, go to number 3, go to the angle C. The opposite side is the 3, and the adjacent side to the reference angle is 4. Number 4, angle A. The opposite is 7, and the adjacent is 24. Last but not least, number 5. The opposite goes from A to C, and the adjacent goes from B to C. And that's, when we ask you to find the ratio, or identify the ratio, that's what we're talking about, is that fraction. Now, we can find the values of these fractions first by dividing. Okay, so let's actually change these up a little bit. Let's say I want to find the sine of 3/5. I'm going to divide 3 by 5. I get that, I'm going to get, oops, sorry, never mind. Let me try to push it up. The sine of 40 means we want to find the fraction for 40 degrees. So we're going to go in our calculators. We're going to type in 40 first. Make sure we're in what's called degree mode. So DEG at the bottom of your calculators. And we're going to press the letters SIN next. And put in that decimal in 2 places. So 0.745 goes to 0.75. And that's the ratio, or that fraction of the opposite divided by the hypotenuse. Okay, let's do the cosine of 12. Again, make sure we're in degrees. Again, that's like saying feet or inches for angles. Type in 12 and type in COS. So that becomes 0.843. So we're going to round that to 0.84. Last but not least, the tangent of 3. What is the opposite divided by adjacent for 3 degrees? So we're going to go 3, then press tangent. It's going to become 0.05. And I think I actually put in the wrong values for the other ones. Let's fix them. So 40 sine is actually 0.64. My bad. I had it in radians. See, it matters which one you do because you're going to get the wrong answer. Then 12 cosine is 0.978, which rounds to 0.98. And there's our work.